what if Deku was, well, what was it? Was Dr. Manhattan. Now, I just got done watching the Watchmen movie second time. I watched it. I watched the first movie about, I think, I watched clips of the movie when my parents were watching it when I was about 9. Now, I didn't see, I only saw, like, the action parts when, I only saw the parts where, what was it? When Dr. Manhattan was in Mars, and that was basically it. So I just rewatched the movie, and also I watched, I think, episode 1 of the Watchmen TV show. Don't like the TV show at all. But yeah, so guys, this is what Deku was Dr. Manhattan. Now, people, one person that commented on my commentary that I uploaded, a pic of a what was it? This Omni Man picture saying, Doctor Manhattan picture saying I was gonna do this. What if he said nerf him because he'd be way too OP? Now, basically, I get it because I get it because Doctor Manhattan is like the most OP character ever. I'm pretty sure he can take down. I'm pretty sure Doctor Manhattan could possibly take down. What's it? Omni Man, Superman, or like anybody else in that category. But what do you think? What do you guys think? Could Omni Man take on Omni Man, Superman? See it? Can Doctor Manhattan take down Superman, Utopian from the Netflix show, Omni Man, and Homelander at once? I'm pretty sure he could, and just turn all of them into glass, or turn all of them into some sort of other matter, or just blow them up. So basically, Deku's gonna have all the abilities of Doctor Manhattan, but basically through the whole entire series of this What If, Deku will eventually disconnect from humanity completely, and when Deku's completely disconnected from humanity, at a point where Deku's gonna be completely disconnected from humanity when he loses his lover or his ship for this What If. Now, I'm thinking, who should I ship this with? And I think it should be Ochaku because Ochaku has, what was it? It looks like the woman that Dr. Manhattan fell in love with in the movie, and I think it would go together pretty well because if I think Ochaku would be kind of disconnected from Deku because she wouldn't like Deku that much because he'll be, more or less occupied because he'll be disconnected from humanity or human nature. Now, basically, Deku will have all the abilities of, Dr. Manhattan, be able to see to the future, the past, the present, see things that are basically so fast that they could never really be told that happened in the first place. Be able to see molecules on molecular structure just by looking at them. Be able to see through the universe itself and look at life and even maybe can create it himself. Reconstruct his body, teleport, telekinesis, superhuman strength, invulnerability, matter manipulation, all sorts of other stuff. Basically, Dr. Manhattan basically has all powers. Basically has all the powers. Yeah, he basically has all the powers, and he's also omnipresent and omni-aware. So he can read people's minds and also be everywhere at once. Meaning he can clone himself around at multiple places at once. Multiple different worlds and multiple different universes, like how he teleported a clone of himself to Earth while his main self was on Mars. Now, basically, there's no known weakness for Deku because I don't think it's any weakness that the Watchmen have made to take down, you know, well, Dr. Manhattan because deconstructing his body didn't work at all. It just bided them about 10 minutes, or maybe less than that. So basically, Deku will have all the abilities of Dr. Manhattan, but I'm going to nerf it just a little bit because, the guy in the comments asked, don't make Deku so OP, because the story wouldn't even be interesting at that point, because it would be too OP. Now, guys, after this video, I am going to be uploading what if Deku was on Black Air Force One's activity, but basically, I wanted to do this because I just feel like I wanted to see a Deku that was disconnected from humanity, and I wanted to see a Deku that had a god complex. So I wanted to see that. Basically, let's get into it. But basically, Deku is going to be, let's say, a scientist of some sorts. Deku's not going to be born. Deku's going to be born quirkless. Now, I'm going to nerf Deku just a little bit. The only thing that's going to hold back Deku is his humanity. Deku will latch on his humanity longer than the original Dr. Manhattan. Basically, Deku's humanity and his strive to the universe, basically Dr. Manhattan's personality and his, well, more or less just the way he sees life itself, will go back and forth between Deku's emotions and his humanity, making Deku confused at all points, at all turns and toss, basically making Deku have like a certain life crisis. So basically, we start our story off where Deku is about, let's say, Deku is born, and Deku lives a normal life so far, but Deku is a lot more smarter in canon, and also does get a sponsorship over the 10-month arc. Basically, for Deku's whole entire, what was it? For the whole entire year of Deku, basically what changes in Deku's life is Deku's family is a rich family, meaning that Deku's father works for the government in a scientist project. Basically, at this point, Deku was given a sponsorship and given, basically a secretary type job. Also, at this time, Deku's mom and dad were still, really wealthy, and also Deku lived at a wealthy school, meaning that basically, he never, met Bakugo, and he never, got bullied that much. He did still get bullied by other kids because he was quirkless, because Deku would be quirkless still. So Deku basically was kind of determined to making an artificial quirk, but he never was able to get, to recreate the gene humans gave off while they were born with a quirk. He was never able to replicate quirks. So Deku just gave up all completely and just went along trying to become a renowned scientist like his father. Basically just trying to get, richer than his father and just live a normal, wealthy life as a scientist. Now, Deku was about, let's say, 15 when the accident happened. Deku would be about 15, and he'll be at the secretary job the last day of school. Basically, the last day of school was about 5 days from Deku's birthday, turning him 16. Basically, after the 5 days of school, it was only 5 days left of Deku's birthday. It was 5 days until Deku's birthday. So Deku went to the secretary job, basically, asking his father what they're going to do for his birthday, because Deku's father was super, and I mean super, like, Deku's father the only way Deku's father could connect with Deku the most was when Deku had his birthday. So basically, Deku's father always went all out for Deku's birthday, didn't miss a single day of Deku's birthday. When he did, his mom or Deku would be pretty much very, 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 what was it, disappointed in his father. Basically, Deku's father being dogged on by his mother, and basically, Deku's father being accused of cheating, because Deku's father never, and I mean never, missed any of Deku's birthdays, because that's the only thing Deku's father had with Deku. So, Deku's father was, waiting for Deku to come into the office, and Deku walked into the office basically asking, his father about what they're going to be doing today. Deku's father says, get ready, because we're going to be working on a new project I'm doing, a DNA slicer. Basically, this machine was basically, more or less, a machine that could reconstruct and disc construct, basically, break down matter on a molecular structure, basically disintegrating a human in a matter of seconds. Basically, Deku was, they were studying it, and when they were about to leave, Deku left his watch in the room where where the, what was it, molecular breakdown was, or the machine was. Deku went back alone, telling his father that I was going to go back and grab my watch, and Deku walked to the room, but Deku was walking into the room, but the door slightly got pushed away by the wind, and basically shut tight. And the timer counted down, and it was an artificial go off. Basically, Deku grabbed his watch and was about to leave, but the door is locked. Deku's father came to the door and says, "No, no, 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 no." And basically, everybody was, everybody was like super sad because like this was the boss's son, but also some of the people there actually did connect with Deku and became friends with him. Basically, trying to open the door as much as they can, but nothing happening, and basically, everybody, being, crying, and basically, them trying to open the door with sledgehammers, using their corpse even, trying to open the door, but nothing happened because the door was quirk-proof. The door was strong enough to even hold back All Might. So basically, they couldn't open the door. They looked through the mirror. They looked through the glass that the door was opened from, like the what was it, the bulletproof glass. Basically, seeing that Deku was in the blast radius. Deku's father crying on the glass, pretty much saying, "I love you, son." And out of nowhere, blast of lightning strikes down everywhere. Basically, electricity goes everywhere and disintegrates Deku. Now, we skip about a month later, and Deku is technically 16 now, but Deku is technically dead. So basically, Deku was marked down as dead. Deku's mother was furious with Deku's father, but didn't leave him because Deku's father was the last thing Inko had of Deku, or anything that she had close to family anymore, other than her family. Basically, they went to the funeral because they made the funeral. Basically, some of the friends of Deku's school came to the funeral, aka Momo. What was it? AKA Momo. Ida was actually Deku's best friend, and basically, what was it? A couple other students that Deku was friends with. So Deku was basically, given a pretty good, what was it, funeral, and about a month later, Deku, people were still mourning after Deku's death, but a couple months after Deku's death, they started seeing weird appearances around the science lab. Basically, seeing basically the fifth day Deku's dead, the fifth day of Deku's death after the month of Deku's dying, the 5 days after the month of Deku dying, they started seeing weird appearances around the place. They started seeing a Skeletor system that's radiating blue energy in front of the lab. The next week, I mean, they see a muscle body, or like a skeletal section with the muscles on it, a muscle system, basically seeing it, radiating blue energy walking around the science lab. Now, they skip to the last day and they see a blue man appear inside the machine, or next to the machine that killed Deku in the first place. And the machine and the man looking just like Deku, just with blue skin and blue energy coming off of him. It basically just looked like Deku, but Deku was butt naked. Had the same body that he had when he did the 10-month art training with All Might, but also had a black mark on his forehead and the same black markings around his eyes that, Dr. Manhattan has. Deku's pretty much skin blue, but also his body radiating, or pretty much just glowing bright blue. Deku, basically, we skip about 2 weeks later, and Deku was declared the world's strongest man, or the strongest Superman. Basically, declaring, Deku as the world's Superman. Now, basically, the doctors said that Deku has incredible abilities, but also they were afraid that Deku will disconnect from humanity because Deku isn't as human as he was before. Now, Deku doesn't age, doesn't get sick. Deku never is, Deku can never be destroyed or killed, even if he wants to kill himself. Deku can also live basically forever. Deku never ages. Deku never gets sick. Deku is invulnerable and all sorts of other powers that they explain, but Deku has a lot more powers than that. Basically, the only thing pushing Deku down is his humanity. Deku doesn't want to go all out because he fears that he'll lose his humanity and become just a godlike being, and basically see himself as a god, and he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to have a god complex and feel like he's disconnected from humanity, the people that he's loved for his life, near his whole entire life. He doesn't want to lose them and think of himself as a god, because technically, some people do call him a god on the news because they see what he can do. Deku can disintegrate items and reconfigure them, including humans, exploding them just by looking at them. Read people's minds, see them to the future and the past. Look into people's minds, make people see what he sees in the future. Basically, him being able to teleport anywhere, and Deku basically not really have to put any effort in any of his emotions because Deku would be basically, well, omni manipulate. Deku would be basically godlike or god. Basically, Deku, is getting trains with some pro heroes, like very famous pro heroes, including All Might, pretty much being trained, but also getting help from from pretty much like a bunch of psychiatrists trying to help Deku connect with humanity as much as they can. Now, Deku pretty much gets a suggestion from, you know, pretty much his father saying that you have the power of God now. You can change humanity. You can save the world. Basically, Deku's saying, yeah, I can do that, but I, I, and basically Deku is about to say he doesn't want to save humanity, but he feels like his humanity is keeping him from saying that, and he wants to stay. He wants to save humanity, but he still wants to be a hero, because deep down inside, when Deku was a child, he still wanted to be a hero. So Deku said, I want to become a hero. So basically, Deku signs up for UA, but automatically gets into UA because everybody knows his name. Everybody knows Deku, the blue man, the Superman, the most powerful being in the universe. Basically, some villains they can take on Deku or give Deku on their side, but Deku doesn't really see sides that much. Deku just sees a problem and fixes it, or destroys the problem, or eradicates the problem. So basically, Deku basically goes to UA goes to UA after the train arc, or I mean after the entrance exams. But Deku's way powerful, and basically Deku just gets into UA automatically, not being able to do any tests, just gets into UA automatically. So Deku gets into UA, walks into class one day earlier than anybody else, and Deku's wearing his what was it? His hero his what was it? School uniform, just with Deku having his blue skin and his blue light radiating off of his body. So basically, everybody walks into class and they stun. They're like pretty much stunned and they stop in their tracks. Basically, Bakugo saying why you stop all of a sudden. Basically, stopping as well, seeing the Blue Man, aka Dr. Manhattan. Now, Deku actually did name himself Dr. Manhattan because it was a word or a name that he heard as he was reconstructing his body over the months and the days that he was technically dead. So Deku, basically gets ready and everybody else gets started. So they sit down and basically a lot of kids kind of stare away from Deku because they feel like he's way too powerful for them to be friends with. But some of the girls walk toward Deku, pretty much seeing that he's really strong, and also he's from like a really rich family. Basically, mainly them focusing on how Deku's basically pretty much labeled as a godlike being. Basically, you Zawa walks in the class and explains to the class are doing quirk assessments. Basically, Zawa not caring if Deku is godlike. Now, basically, the government already explained that anything dealing with quirk erasing quirks cannot work on Deku. Basically, Deku not being called Deku, but called Izuku because Deku was never called Deku because he was never teased by Bakugo, but Deku was just called Midori Dork, something like that, because he was quirkless. But he outgrew that because he was super smart. So Deku basically you know goes outside after the quirk sets to start, and Deku's told to throw the ball as hard as he can. Deku says this is pointless. Everything we do in life is technically pointless. As I was saying, I don't really care about that right now. Just throw the ball. And basically, Deku's saying, why should I? That, as I was saying, you should throw a ball if you want to get into your way. Deku says I can get into your way anytime I want. I'm literally godlike. I can change everything, or nearly everything. The only thing I can't change is human nature. Basically, Zala says, you don't want to throw the ball, that's fine, you can just leave. And Deku says, whatever. And throws the ball just lightly, pretty much chucks it in the air, and it stops for a second, and blasts off all the way to Mars, going right through Mars. Basically, Azawa was extremely impressed by this, but doesn't show it, pretty much saying, good job. Deku walks off, or teleports, near the end of the line, and they get started on their next test after everybody else goes for the ball throwing. For the long jump, Deku just teleports to the end of the thing. For the race, Deku just teleports to the end of the thing. And for the pretty much grip test strength, Deku just telekinesis it, and basically gets the highest score in the whole class, getting first place. So basically, Deku pretty much goes back home, basically being, kind of weary. Because Deku has thoughts about humanity and how he should just end humanity or let humanity destroy themselves. Basically, Deku thinking about starting a war behind Earth's back. But Deku doesn't know if he can do that yet because he still is, well, he still has his humanity, but it's fading away slowly, very slowly, but fast at Deku's point of view. So Deku gets stopped by Ochaku, and Ochaku says, are you okay? Pretty much Deku, while he was thinking all that, Deku was actually muttering to himself, and electricity was flying off of his body. So Deku says, oh, hey, and basically she, starts talking to Deku, and Deku reading her mind as she's talking to this, and Deku just, reading her mind, and Deku finding out that she likes him. Deku pretty much gives her her number just slightly, that teleporting it into her hand, and basically him saying, call me if you want to. And Deku teleporting home, basically into his mansion, and pretty much walking into his room, not going to sleep actually, but contemplating about humanity. Deku teleports to Mars, basically grabbing the ball while it's in the core of Mars, basically chucking it up into the sky like, a normal person just catching it left and right. Deku pretty much looks around Mars and discovers an alien ship on there. Deku brings it back to life, basically reconfiguring it into its prime state and walking into the ship. Deku learning about alien life around the universe. Deku is extremely impressed by this because this is one thing that Deku doesn't know. And Deku for a long time has lost the thrill of not knowing. And that's why Deku wants to learn more about this, ship. So I'm going to leave it off here, guys. So Deku will be a little bit more nerfed later on, but for now, guys, if you think Deku's way too OP, just tell me in the comments and I might. And if you think Deku's too OP right now, go in the comments and, pretty much tell me what I can do to make Deku nerfed, but not too nerfed to a point where he doesn't do anything. So yeah, see you guys later. Bye. And as always, guys, have a blessed day. See you guys later. Bye.